Morning, everybody. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or three, and let's do some switching. Everybody, I'm going to make a slight change to the way I operate Chillicothe. So I'm going to explain that to you, the change I made and why I'm doing it. So the way I've been operating Chillicothe, trains come out of the staging yard, and I've got it set up in JMRI where basically it switches the traveling point industries first. So I'm not exactly sure how JMI works, but when it builds a switch list, I guess it like goes through and makes a pass and assigns cars, and it goes through and makes another pass. You can do up to 4 passes, but it's limited by my train length. So I set a certain train length based on my passing sighting. I had it set 380 feet. So what happened was I always, 100% of the time, would switch wherever in Union Spring, but I would sort of run out of moves. And, so I might pull a car or set a car at Miller Distribution. I wasn't doing a lot of switching at ITT Grinnell. I haven't put a car at the team track. I can't remember when the last time I put a car at the team track. So basically the JMRI just assigns everything until it runs out of space. And then that's what you've got. So what I did was I went in and I increased my train length to 500 feet. 500 feet will not make my passing sighting. However, as I've shown in maps before, and I may do it again real quick. So here's Chillicothe today. This is where the yard was, very small. This is the Norfolk Southern Main Line. This is the Watt Street crossing I referred to. This is Douglas Avenue. This is ITT Grinnell. This is Miller Distribution. This is where General Chemical was. Down here is the Union Spring, and wherever is off the bottom of the camera. So basically from the yard to here is like 3,000 feet or something like that. So this whole thing is yard limit. So that they don't, there's what I'm doing makes sense, and they actually have done it that way rather than taking the whole train down here and then have to do a runaround, come back. You can get from here to there in just a couple minutes. This whole thing was yard limit. The Chillicothe yard, well, in reality was toward you. It was west of this area. I'm pretending it's east of this area. But the whole thing was from the yard to like ITT Grinnell was less than half a mile, or 0.6 of a mile, somewhere around in there. The whole section was yard limit. So they didn't use cabooses, and basically they would run for the yard, do their switching, run back to the yard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, even though my JMRI is going to say it's like one train, this is my westbound train. These 2 cars are for wherever, this car is for Union Spring. So what I'm going to say is the train leaves the yard, switches the westbound industries, goes back to the yard. Maybe the crew takes a break, takes a lunch, whatever, however long it takes. And then they will push these cars out, so I won't have to do a runaround. Again, this whole thing is within yard limits, and there's only one grade crossing between the yard and say ITT Grinnell and General Chemical. That was Watt Street. So they'll push the train out, and then they want to do a runaround. They'll switch these industries, and then they'll go back. So essentially I'm breaking it into 2 little sessions, and I'm not doing any runarounds. That way I think I will get more switching, because I've had this car here, this NW 60-foot boxcar. It's been in the off spot position for several sessions. I switched these out in 3 and 4, or 2 and 3, and I never touched this. I have to keep respotting them. That doesn't make sense to me. Again, like I said, I haven't put a car at the team track in forever. So I'm going to try this and see if it works, for a few sessions. But I know immediately the first session I'm actually spotting this there. So that's a hopeful. I'm moving that car now where I haven't moved it in the past. So So what you're going to see in this session, short one, is I'm going to switch these cars. These cars I'm actually going to push back into staging, and I'll bring them out for part 2. All right, enough talking. Let's get started. Taking a break from mowing grass. Using the GP7 today. So we're coming in on the passing track, and we're going to switch the engine and spring. You may notice a couple things. Number one, my wife got some new wind chimes. Second thing is I made a couple little tweaks to the locomotive sound, and I like it. I'm going to pull the empty, spot it back on the passing siding. While you're watching this, it's Friday. Took a day off, and I went to the dermatologist this morning. So I had melanoma 26 years ago. Luckily, they caught it very early, and didn't have to really have a lot of treatment done. But since then, I've gone to the dermatologist pretty religiously, and they're always doing biopsies or freezing stuff off of me. So I encourage you to take care of your skin. I've lost friends to melanoma. It's sort of a silent killer. You don't realize you've got it until it's too late sometimes. So wear a hat, wear sunscreen, get yourself checked. I think he froze 8 places off of me today. They're precancerous. So since I talked so much at the beginning, explaining what I'm doing now, as soon as the The locomotive goes over onto the main line. We're going to end the video. I debated about picking up the the empty gondola, but I decided to just leave it there, and we'll get it at the end of switching wherever. So we'll be pushing all the cars back to the yard, and we'll just push them back on the passing siding. So it won't really, the number of moves is a wash, I guess is what I should say. So we'll switch wherever Sunday morning. Have a great Saturday and stay safe.